he was going to massage therapy school and he took an elective Reiki class. And he's like, I got Reiki level 1 and 2. Is it okay if I practice on you? You know, we could practice once a week. I was like, we had moved back to Utah from California. And so I was back near family. And that was so exciting to me because I thought, oh my gosh, yes. So I jumped in. I had no idea what Reiki was at that point. And he practiced Reiki on me once a week. Well, that was not long after I'd been practicing my gratitude and doing my own healing and coming out of my depression and noticing a shift. And now all of a sudden I'm receiving Reiki. And that, oh my gosh, it just, not only did it help me come aligned and attuned to my higher self, but it blew my gifts of spirit wide open. Like I was like open at that period. I started seeing things even when he was working. I saw my uncle Art, who just completely materialized for me in our room that day, on one of the days that he worked on me. And I was able to talk with him and talk with my brother because my brother always felt this close connection to my uncle Art. And it was like it just opened up my abilities like all of a sudden again, because when I went through the depression, it felt like they closed down again. And then when I started healing and coming back into balance, then all of a sudden I'm exposed to Reiki, which seemed to like activate a reactivation of myself. And I started having these profound spiritual experiences of going to source energy, of I would come into these spaces where I'd be one with the whole galaxy. I'd be moving with the stars, and the feeling of expansion I felt was so incredible. And I would come out of my session and still be carrying that. I felt like I had the whole universe in my chest, just like open and just ecstasy. Yeah, just feelings of ecstasy from my Reiki treatments. And after that, he wanted me to meet my his Reiki instructor. And you know this story of Kristen, and this was a life-changing moment for me. But I ended up meeting her. Well, a few months prior to that, I had a dream about a girl who died in a car accident, and I was in her house with her family. And I saw her family members. I saw their relationships and engagement. I saw the home that she lived in. And I was standing next to her in spirit. And I said, oh, hi. She goes, oh, you see me? And all this in my dream, she just like did this big old football tackle. And when she did the football tackle, it was like I merged with her information. I knew her name, her age, how she passed, the relationships, her regrets, everything.
Wow.
I woke up the next morning and it felt like I had her sweater. I just feel this energy coming around my shoulders all day. And of course, I call my mother. I'm very blessed to be able to call my mom and talk to her about this stuff. And I was like, I don't know who this is or why I had this dream, but I feel like it's more than a dream, because I can feel her energy still with me. And I don't know who to tell. And I don't know why she came to me. She's like, well, I guess don't worry about it. You'll know when you know. And so anyway, a couple months later, I end up meeting this Reiki instructor. And I walked into her office, and then right after the introductions, all of a sudden, whoosh, I could just feel that same Kristen energy coming in from 2 months prior. And for me, it was like a fingerprint. Like I knew exactly who she was. And I remember the dream to a T, because that's the difference between dreams and visitations and journeys as well. Because when you have journeys, or you have a past life regression, or you have a visitation, you remember things for years, like to the detail. It's almost like that experience changes you on such a deep level, makes such an impact on your experience. Even if it's just years and years later, you remember like every detail.
Yes.
All of it. It's not like a dream you forget by noon. No, you remember every bit of it, right? So I went ahead and I had to get brave. Because anytime I would share something with someone, I don't know how they're going to react. I don't know how open she is to what I'm about to tell her. it's a leap of faith. Anytime you do healing work, it really is.
Absolutely.
And, but Kristen wouldn't leave me alone. And I knew what that meant. Like, you got to get this off of your chest or I'm following you home. Kind of a feeling.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow you and haunt you at your house.
Say it
You
or
need to tell her.
beware.
So anyway, I went ahead and told her, and she just turned white, mouth just jaw dropped, and she opened up her drawer and she pulled out a picture of Kristen and she goes, "Is this her?" And I said, "Yeah, that's her." And she's like, "Yeah, she died 2 months ago." And that was when I had the dream, was when she had passed away. And so I thought by delivering and say, "Well, she just wants you to know that she's okay. And if you could pass that message on, that would be great." I thought if I said that then Kristen would let up on me, and she wouldn't. And so she's like, "Call my mom, call my mom, call my mom," just in my ear, just over and over, "Call my mom, call my mom." So I'm like, ugh. So I was like, "Okay, Patty, is it okay if we call her mom?" As I'm not a professional medium, so I'm gonna do the best I can. But I'm just gonna deliver this message. And so anyway, we called her, and she had just left the cemetery. And
Wow.
I talked to her on the phone, and it was interesting because I usually listen on the phone with my right side, but Spirit talks to me in my right ear.
Me too.
So I had the phone on the left. So I'm like going between, the conversation of the two people, and ended up meeting her later. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful meeting. And I ended up actually teaching her Reiki, ironically. Because after that situation, I ended up delivering message to Patty throughout the week of different people she had known. And in appreciation for delivering the messages, she asked me if I would be open to learning Reiki and becoming a Reiki master teacher, that she would teach me all the way through teacher level. And so I decided to go and take her up on it. And from that point forward, I was doing Reiki and readings out of my house. Wow. And that was kind of like the beginning of me actually providing a service using my gifts of spirit. I would do a Reiki session and I would do a reading. And I met through one of the ladies at that time, my friends, this woman who was the head of a mystery school in Salt Lake City. She's like, "You got to meet this lady. She will help you with your gifts of spirit." Oh, it was Patty, actually, the one that was the Reiki teacher, when I told me back about her. And so I went ahead and did it. And that changed things even more.
Wow. I want to hurry and take a moment as you're speaking about her, the connection.
Kristen?
Yeah, like the connection's been like, it's a little bit like fuzzy and like slowed down. And I feel like that high frequency has been like moving into this space of like, we got to clear it out for just a minute so that the connection is still flowing, because it's been a little more choppy. And like, we want to thank her for being here and for her message and for opening up your gifts, because she like gave you so much courage and strength to move forward. But we also want to ask her to help change the frequency so that we can continue talking about this. I feel her energy just so strong and so bubbly and vibrant that it's like, we thank you for being here. Now, please just like part ways so that we can continue moving forward, having that frequency.
It's funny. She's like, "Okay."
Yeah. And it sounds so much better already. Like, I can hear you. Yeah. It was getting choppy there for a minute. And so I'm like, okay, we got to clear this frequency. Mm-hmm. It's so high. She's so awesome.
Yeah. And I really think it'd be totally fine. Like, don't edit that out, because this out, what I'm saying right now, but don't edit that part out. Like, say, I feel like we need to clear it because it's getting choppy and the frequency is changing.
Yeah.
Give people that experience.
Okay. That's perfect.
Okay.
I love it. Because now it sounds like totally different. Okay. But there for a minute, you can feel it. I'm like, oh, so much here.
You can feel it fluttery. She's strong presence.
Yeah. She's very strong and a little, not forceful, but like very brave.
Aggressive.
Beat the drum.
Yes, assertive.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. So I ended up attending a mystery school for the first time in Salt Lake City by this wonderful teacher, Catherine. And she taught me so much about trusting myself and trusting my intuition, and reconnecting me through meditation and journey work, and exploring the clairs and exploring sacred ceremony to shift things inside of myself, to heal and to feel that connection to Mother Nature and to all of her inhabitants and to spirit. It was this opening that happened inside of me, going into that mystery school that was so pivotal for me. And after that, I started assisting her doing retreats, and just a little bit like cooking, food preparation, vegetarian food preparation pretty much was all, and then assisting her with circles. And it was during that time, I was like, gosh, I really love this. I think I would like to teach. I think I would
Yeah.
like to facilitate healing circles for women. And so I started to branch out, and I started to teach workshops and classes, things like on tarot and Reiki and sacred movement and sacred art and so many other things, and started hosting mini retreats for my friends. And it was during that time I really collected a lot of wisdom as far as like how to facilitate, how to lead, how to take something that's abstract and make it in a, conduce it or condense it in a way that's understandable. You know what I'm saying? Especially these metaphysical, spiritual concepts and ideas. And so that was really cool. And then not long after, a couple of years after that, one of the friends I met at the mystery school told me about this lady who was a shaman, um, Margie, another amazing pivotal teacher in my life. I have been so blessed with so many amazing women. I'm just like, oh my gosh. I think about it, I'm just like,
That's so
wow.
amazing.
Yeah. And so anyway, she had mentioned that she had just said it to her that morning. She's like, I think I'm ready to bring on some students. And she was trained by an Incan shaman. This lady was just an amazing woman. She was a professional photographer, mountain climber. I mean, just incredible lady. And so anyway, she told me that day, and I reached out to her that evening. So this is, now mind you, she just mentioned this to my friend that morning. And I was on her footstep the next day. I was on her porch the next day.
Wow.
Now, a couple days prior to that, me meeting her, I had a dream about this lady. And I was on her front porch in her house, dark hair. I didn't know who she was, but she gave me a message that day and in that dream. And then come to find out 2 days later, 48 hours, 3 days later, I am on that very porch that I dreamed about as well.
Oh my gosh.
With that same woman that I saw in my dream. So for me, that was validation that I was being led from spirit, that I needed to be there. And so I trained with her for a couple of years, and it was just like the teachings. Gosh, it helped me bring what was in my heart into form. I felt like through the ceremonies, through the healing work, through all the different things that I experienced during my training, it was like coming home to myself. Every single thing that we did, it was like coming home to myself.
Wow.
And to be able to participate in sacred ceremony in that way, it was like it solidified it in some way, like it brought it here. All the things that were in my heart and my spirit just brought that beauty into the world in a way that was so fulfilling. I realized how important the sacred is in my life, to spend time creating sacred space, of spending time with this communication and this communion with spirit, of building this relationship. And that was one of the questions she asked me when I showed up at the beginning of my training. She goes, why are you here? You know, who are you? Why do you want to be a shaman? And I said, well, I know in truth I'm infinite spirit, that I'm a spirit having a human experience. The reason I want to be a shaman is that I have a love-hate relationship with life.
Yes.
And I want to heal my relationship to my life. I want to cultivate happiness and joy and peace for my life and my existence here. And I want to share that with others. And she's like, okay, I got to get my little dog here.
Cute little Athena.
There's little Athena. Yeah. She's like, I missed you. I need to spend time on your lap. So that started my journey there. And what's ironic, Jen, is that not long after that, as I was going through my shamanic training, my husband was also raised LDS. And she had mentioned when we were training that you're not an energetic island. Obviously, everything that you do and shift is going to have an effect on your beloved. Is he aware that he is going to be affected by this energy? And so I ended up telling him that. And it was so true. He went through this whole transformation during my training as well, and decided to come back to his faith that he'd been away from. And during that time, we had decided as a family to be baptized as LDS as well, and to bring our family together to provide some kind of spiritual foundation to be able to provide tools for the kids that they could lean on as they go through life, a roadmap of what it's like to be here human and how to get through it the best way you can.
Absolutely.
The teachings of Christ have always just resonated with so much. And during my journey work, I would see him a lot. Like he would guide me on my journeys of healing. It's like, gosh, you keep showing up, you know,
keep popping in, saying hi.
Hey there. But that was very confusing for some people in my groups. They're like, why are you getting baptized? I mean, you're spiritual, you're a shaman, you're a healer, you're not going to be accepted. There was a lot of resistance. I actually lost some friends during that time that I got baptized. And there was some fears of that I carried, that I had to kind of face within myself.
Absolutely.
But for me, it's been a wonderful combination. I love the integration of my faith and my spiritual path. It has been the perfect blend for me. I use both depending on where I'm at and what I need. I feel like I have so much support, like multidimensionally support. And I also connect with my family and traditions and values. But at the end of the day, it's all about cultivating those attributes. It's about cultivating Christ-like attributes, and whatever religion that you choose, it's about those attributes of love and coming into remembrance of your divinity and how you're going to use it. How are you going to cultivate those qualities into this human experience? And so for me, it's been the perfect blend.
I love that. And I love the fact that it's so customizable too. Like in this space of like, that's how spirituality, that's how religion, that's how it should be, is we take, the practices and we use that and integrate that, but it doesn't just define us, that we can add what else our spirit is calling to, add what else it is to help us on this path of being on a Pachamama, like all of those things, like we need that. And so I love that helped bring that structure for your family and for your faith and for who you are. I think it's beautiful. And it's like, everyone was like, that's so reverse of what it should be, like what they were saying, right? But who's to say what your spirit journey is? It's yours. And I love the fact that it's worked for you. That's so beautiful.
Well, like, for example, the match, how it works for me, for example, like when we talk about the medicine wheel and shamanism, and we think about the direction of Earth and the connection to our ancestors and the wisdom of our ancestors. It's like when I read Holy Scripture, for me, it's that direct access to my ancestors and the wisdom of our ancestors, our elders, my family, and the people who wrote those sacred words, including our beloved Lord Jesus or Yeshua, if we want to call him Yeshua. I feel like I'm integrating those wisdom teachings inside of me, like I'm being open to be receptive to the guidance they've given me, like a roadmap on a trail. I'm on this dusty, hot trail, and there is this map that's laying on the side of the trail, and it gives me direction and insight into the trails that are up ahead and the challenges that are coming my way. I don't have to use the map. I could just go do it, and that would be fine. There's no one judging me. But for me personally, I'd rather look at the map, because if I
Yeah.
can look at the map and I can get insight into what's up ahead and the possible challenges and how to get through those challenges, that's what's at the core of these sacred teachings and scriptures that we've been given on this planet. No matter what that
Absolutely.
religion or faith is, they're like the roadmaps. They're like the ones that say, hey, we've been there, we've done that human thing, and let me tell you, if you do this, this, and this, it leads to this. If you do this and this, it leads to this. Which would you
Yeah.
like? Which one would you prefer? They also remind you of something greater than your body, your mind, your emotions, that you are something more than that. And that's what these holy scriptures have in common as well, is that you are divine, that you are made in the image of your creator, which I need that reminder.
Yeah.
I need the reminder of our wise people when I'm caught in the drama of my emotions and my feelings and Maya in the dream. I lean on those wise people or those scriptures or those teachings to say, wake up, Candace, wake up,
Wake
come
up.
home to
Remember.
yourself.
Remember who you
Remember
are.
who you are. Come back, come back. How can you shift this energy to be aligned with who you are? How can you shift this?
I love
Because
that.
that's what I'm responsible for. I'm not
Absolutely.
responsible for anyone else. And that's what I've learned from my spiritual path, is the path of ultimate accountability. People can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, are you going to follow through on what you know to be true? How are you
Absolutely.
going to manifest that in your life? And that's what my spiritual path taught me, because otherwise they're just words, or they're
Absolutely.
just, shiny pennies, but they're not really truth. They're not things that are transforming my life and helping me cultivate that happiness and peace. And which goes back to what I learned about gratitude. I realized through that experience, not only is it important to receive, but that, yeah, sometimes I may have experiences of happiness and peace fall in my lap, and I'm really grateful for that. But most of the time, I had to work it. I
Yeah.
had to cultivate happiness. And that was that really opened my mind. I realized I needed to stop waiting. I needed
Mm.
to stop waiting for happiness to show up. And I had to start creating situations that cultivated that energy in my life.